All right, so for bass and cello, we can't encompass an entire tetrachord with one hand shape like you can on violin or viola. So we have to shift on our instrument to do that. However, you want to maintain this vision, this visualization of the tetrachord in your head as you're shifting on the instrument, so as that you're just not shifting on the instrument willy-nilly and hoping you're going to hit the next note. That you have this vision, this tetrachord visualized clearly in your head. And here is, I came up with this idea that might help, okay? And this applies for cello and bass, even though I'm using this as my bass as a model. For your one string scale, your open string is this first note here. And from the pattern study and your reference material, you know that your Ionian, your major tetrachord, has a whole step, and a half step. So the half step is right here, okay? So here's what it looks like on your instrument. Something like this. So you're going to have to shift to make that happen. Now what I recommend is that you keep the tetrachord contained between your first and fourth finger. For example, you'll play this last note in this upper tetrachord with your fourth finger, even though you're playing with an open string here, and your first finger on the second scale note here. So you would play like on cello, you would play from first position open 1, 3, 4. On bass, we would play this open 1 and then pivot to your second finger and then 4. So you get the idea that the tetrachord is contained in this block between your fourth finger and the nut in this case, or the first finger if you were playing, say, like A flat, which was my first assignment. But open strings give us a new dimension in our tetrachord thinking. Okay, so you would play the first tetrachord and then shift to your first finger for the second tetrachord. Cello would probably use the third finger on this next note, and then shift to the third finger, slide up on third finger for the G sharp and the A with the fourth finger. On bass, we would do 1 on the D, 2 on the E, shift 2 on the F sharp, this being the G scale, and either 4 or 3 on the G. Okay, so that's the major scale, the major one string scale. Natural minor scale has a Dorian minor lower tetrachord, and notice that the half step is here now. Okay, so you got the open string here, first finger will be there, and then your second finger will be there. That's common between cello and bass. Bass will pivot to the fourth finger. On C, C is always the high note in the first tetrachord, in the lower tetrachord. This fourth finger C will always come up. Okay, then shift to your first finger onto the D or the E for cello and produce this Phrygian tetrachord pattern where the half step is here, 1, 2, first and second finger. Cello will probably shift to your second finger and then use your fourth finger on that high A. Bass will do 1, 2 on the E and D and the E flat, shift to your first finger on the F, use your third finger on the G. Okay, so that's Dorian and Phrygian. So you want to visualize these patterns all over your fingerboard, not just here, but here and here and here, everywhere on your fingerboard. These patterns exist. Okay, now for your harmonic minor scale, it's a combination of a Dorian lower tetrachord and a Gypsy upper tetrachord. And they're going to be on one string, starting on the open string. So there's your Dorian pattern. Notice that the half step is here. Okay, and then this first note is the open string. This fourth note again is your fourth finger. All right, for both cello and bass. And then you got the fingerings that happen in here. You shift to your first finger in fourth position, and you produce this gypsy tetrachord, where you have a half step here and then a half step here at the top. Okay, and the fingerings are on the music. You can look at that. And then finally, the melodic minor is just a combination of Dorian lower and the Ionian major upper, ascending, and then descending. You switch to the Phrygian upper tetrachord, and then finish off with the Dorian minor tetrachord. Okay, so that's that. It's not that difficult. I think once you start moving your hand around in tetrachords and keeping the tetrachord intact between your first and your fourth finger, for example, is an A tetrachord, A, B, C sharp, and D, and that's between first and fourth with the shift in the middle and fingers that happen in the middle. Here's the A Dorian minor. Here's the Dorian or Phrygian, and here is the gypsy.